A disease that we have been troubling for years, past generations and generations. A cure has been found. A success has been revealed. This is none other than fighting poverty. I would kindly ask for your attention as I define some key terms in the motion. First, the term poverty. Poverty refers to the lack of basic needs or resources that makes an individual to fail to attain or gain their life necessities like food, education, shelter, and others. Poverty has been a grudge that has been holding countries, nations, cities, societies, but it has been proved as a failure. But a success has been found. In Tanzania, it has been shown that the poverty has been able to be fought in various sectors. There are two types of poverty that are absolute poverty. This is a situation where a person fails to get even the basic needs for survival. In East Africa, 56 million of people are suffering from absolute poverty. 56 million people can't get their basic needs. They can't get the necessities that they can live in every single day. But also, the second type of poverty is relative poverty. It's a kind of poverty where an individual gains basic needs, but they are not enough. This is the type of poverty that is upholded by a lot of people. Relative poverty is the poverty where I do work, I can gain income, but it is not enough. Example, I am a mother. My daily earning in a day is only 15,000, but yet I have 6 children who need education, who need food, who need shelter. This is the type of poverty we're speaking. The second term is that has done enough. As the proposition side, we do not want to look at millions of things that the United Republic of Tanzania has done to end poverty, but just a few, like large-scale education reforms, direct poverty relief programs, and building of infrastructure. Large-scale education reforms, this is the change of the education system that is basically aimed in development. In the country Tanzania, the education system has been kept on papers in the year 2014, but currently implemented in the year 2025, that is based on skills in an aim of development, which has proved a success. Other examples, Kenya, 9 years in the large-scale education reforms, which has made them to be a success and escape poverty. Direct relief programs. These are programs that are based on giving people money to sustain their life status, to sustain their basic needs, that they may be able to face life challenges. And the third thing is building of infrastructure that is a basic reform of development. Our stand as the proposition side, we believe that in the battle between the United Republic of Tanzania and poverty, through many techniques, has strategically, as it has been spoken, has proved a success over failure. In Tanzania, we have been trying to face poverty, and it has surely been seen as a source of success. Since the three things that I mentioned before that are large-scale education reforms, direct poverty relief programs, and the building of infrastructures. Our parameters, geographically, is the United Republic of Tanzania, as addressed in the motion, but also a good example of countries that has proven success due to the three measures. And the main issue of this debate, Tanzania has tried to do a lot of ways and techniques to end poverty. But the main question is, what are the results of their efforts? So as the proposition side, we believe that their effort has been seen, success has been made and recognized in our country. Tanzania has been able to face poverty, break the chains of poverty through large-scale education reforms, direct poverty relief programs, and building of infrastructures. As the proposition side, we came up with only 3 arguments. Again, large-scale education reforms, direct poverty relief programs, and building of infrastructure. Allow me to explain some of these arguments from the proposition side. Education reforms. Education reforms, this is when we change the system of education aiming to success. Tanzania. The education system has been set on papers in the year 2014 in an aim of changing the generation that we're living. The past theory was based on only theory, learning in class, not doing practicals. But the current system is based on skills, is based on external knowledge that allows a person to build her own life. Trust me, this is a way to escape poverty. something that we have relieved as a success. Large-scale education reforms is something that shows us that surely Tanzania has escaped poverty. Tanzania has been one of the countries that have proven that we are escaping from poverty. The United Republic of Tanzania fights against poverty. It has been established and enacted the vocational training policy of 2014 to be implemented in 2025. It breaks the generation of poverty. It breaks the chains of poverty. It breaks each and every wall. It helps us to be in that mountain. It helps us to realize that our sunshine is success, something that we're holding right now. The second argument is direct poverty relief programs. We have a lot of examples of direct poverty relief programs. You might be asking yourself, in Tanzania, the questions that the opposers may come with, they have proved no success, but surely 5.6 million of people have been moved from poverty through direct poverty relief programs. Isn't this a success? Isn't this a vision that we want to see? Isn't this the development that we have been waiting for? We are surely escaping poverty. Other organizations are like TASAF, cash transfers, and others. Through such organizations, by providing such resources, it helps to escape poverty because such programs of poverty have decreased from 46 million people in the year 1995 to 26 million people in the year 2024. All this data information brings us to the same foundation that we are surely eradicating poverty. Ending poverty, it has shown a success. It has shown the movement that we are reaching success. The third argument is building infrastructure like houses, roads, and others. An example, in Tanzania, again, Tulia Trusts, by the main speaker of the country, Tulia Ackson herself. This organization is based on helping the poor people, building infrastructures, giving them the needs that they need. This is a way that we are escaping from poverty. This is a way that has proven a success and the escape from poverty in our country. Tanzania is proved as a success in escaping of poverty because of these few reasons that I've brought on the table. Tulia Trust, TASAF, cash transfers, education, all these are key parts. All these are ways that show that Tanzania is surely a success. Thank you.
How long do we blindfold ourselves from the truth? I found out the reason. Because the truth always hurts. Honorable adjudicators, my fellow speakers, and my worthy opponents, greetings to you all. I, as the opposition leader, have come here with a few things to say. But first, I'd like to start with rebutting the points that were stated by the Prime Minister from the government side. She came up here, I did not hear the parameters she set, so we have set the parameters. And the parameters we set are in Tanzania from the year after union. I also did not hear the definition of the United Republic of Tanzania, but luckily I'm here. The United Republic of Tanzania has two main terms, the United and the Republic. Tanzania is one among the countries in the East Africa, and the United means that it has united two countries that were formerly independent, Tanganyika and Zanzibar. The Republic means it has gained independence in 9th December 1961. Furthermore, the Prime Minister, yes, came up here saying her three main points that were large-scale education reforms, direct poverty relief programs, and building infrastructure. However, adjudicators, these are the ways to end poverty. They have not come here telling us the proof they have that these ways are efficient, okay? These are the ways to end poverty, the ways that need to be implemented. However, this motion states that what Tanzania has done, what Tanzania has already done in the past, that it has done enough, meaning we are already not poor, we are already rich, we are already developed. They came to state that large-scale education reforms is from the changing of the education system. We have changed the education system since 2014 to 2025. And what has it shown? What has it shown that Tanzania has already developed? What has it shown that Tanzania has already combated poverty? I did not hear that. They have also stated that Kenya examples. As we set our parameters in Tanzania, this example is invalid. They also came to state the direct poverty relief programs, that they are going to help Tanzania, they're going to make it poverty, and that it has already shown that poverty is is already combated by the government. This is not true. Why? Because the direct poverty relief programs, not only do they make us dependent on them, they also make us dependent on other people from other aids, such as the TANZANIA. So, by having direct poverty relief programs, we are not going to be dependent on ourselves. We are not going to be combating poverty. However, we are sustaining poverty, and that is wrong. They also came here to build infrastructure. Look around you. There are still roads that are seasonal. When the rain falls, cars fail to move. Look around you. There are still wire lines that are failing to communicate and to pass the waves for communication. Look around you. There are still bridges that are falling and breaking and making people lose their lives. Look around you. Poverty has not, Tanzania has not done enough to combat poverty. Moving on, I would like to say that Mwalimu Nyerere once said that the three biggest enemies in a country's development is poverty, illiteracy, and disease. When we look at these three things, the one thing that joins them all is that the ways to combat this is by education. So, since this motion is telling us Tanzania has done enough to end poverty, we would like to end poverty through education, which leads me to my stand, which says that we believe that poverty is not just about the lack of effective, poverty is not just about the lack of needs, it's also the lack of effective implementation of quality education. This debate is not about focusing on poverty. It's about focusing on eradicating poverty, focusing on the proof that Tanzania has eradicated poverty. Through what? Through education. I will be talking about the ways to end poverty, while my fellow speakers will also be telling us on why Tanzania has not done enough. The ways to end poverty, number one, is by improving education, by increasing teachers in schools, by having many facilities, by fostering practical skills and not theoretical concepts. So, by doing this, we are not only going to be educating the younger generations, we are also going to be eradicating poverty. So Tanzania has not done enough. Tanzania has not done enough in making education. It needs to do more. It needs to add more facilities. It needs to foster more teachers, more teacher training. It needs to buy more books. Tanzania has not done enough. There are still students out there who share a book. There are still students who sit in classrooms with peeling wood. There are still students who are taught by teachers with nothing but a chalk and a passion. We would also like to provide burdens to the other side. Prove that Tanzania is a developed country. Because if you tell me that Tanzania has done enough to end poverty, that means we are no longer poor, right? That means we have already moved from the developing or from the non-developed to the developed countries. Prove that Tanzania is a developed country. The opposition might also come here and say that Tanzania has implemented education reforms that have been done, such as CBC introduction in 2024, but how long do we have to wait for its implementation? How long do we have to wait for Tanzania to combat poverty? We need to do more. Tanzania has not done enough. CBC has been introduced, competence-based curriculum has been introduced since 2014, and up till date, it has not shown any implementation of having to prove Tanzania has been a developed country, has combated poverty fully. Because there are still people out there who are living and suffering. There are still people out there who are focusing on the government, receiving aids, receiving help, receiving money. But how long do they have to wait? Tanzania needs to do more. The government of Tanzania needs to focus more on the people's needs and not just their own needs. The government of Tanzania needs to do more to combat poverty. The government of Tanzania needs to do more to combat poverty. So yes, we acknowledge that there have been ways that Tanzania has tried to do poverty. But the main thing here is that Tanzania has not done enough. There is still more that we can do. As my father always says, there is still more there's still room for improvement. And as Tanzania is speaking, there is still room for improvement. People can still be moving from poor to the rich. The United Republic of Tanzania can move from developing as it is now to developed. So I would like the proposition side to clearly elaborate why they feel that Tanzania has done enough to combat poverty, that Tanzania has moved from developing to developed, because that's what they're trying to say. I also want to say that this House fully acknowledges what the government of Tanzania has tried to do to combat poverty. But we are saying that it has not done enough. As this motion states, the United Republic of Tanzania has done enough to end poverty. We are opposing this motion, saying that it has not done enough. There is still room for improvement. And with that, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
Would have been very proud. Do you know why? If you try to weigh down where we were after independence and where we are right now, there's a big difference. Dear adjudicators, my worthy opposition side, and my fellow proposition side, let me try to educate our opposition side, because it turns out they don't understand what they're speaking about. I was expecting that these people would come here and speak about the failures that have been happening. This is a battle between success and failure, but they're here. What are they speaking about? Their first speaker came here and spoke about the only way they can use to eradicate poverty is through education. Wow, what did our first speaker came here and say? She spoke about education, the same thing. These people are supporting us, but they don't realize it. Boo-hoo. Then, these people have come here and spoke that infrastructures are roads. Mind you, when our first speaker was speaking here, she spoke about Tulia Trust. It's perhaps they don't know, but don't worry. As Mwalimu Joyce Kambarage is a teacher, then we're here to teach you as well. The Tulia Trust is an organization that aims to build shelter for poor people. Mind you, it's not roads. We have TAN roads, they can deal with roads, but we are dealing with these poor people, which is exactly what Tulia Trust is trying to do. Moreover, they spoke about ways to eradicate poverty by speaking about improving education, adding facilities, fostering practical skills. But these are the strategies that are analyzed in the new education policy of 2014 that has been implemented in 2025. These people are not sure of what they're speaking about, because that's exactly what our first speaker has been saying here. We came here and spoke about how has it been a success. We say that through education, by changing the education system from how it was theory to right now it's practical, then although we cannot see the results right now, but after a few years to come, we are going to see the results. But these people come here and starting telling us the same thing, just in different words, but in fact, they're just supporting us. These people have come here and challenged us, saying that we should prove that Tanzania is a developed country. Okay. Let me prove to you. I will prove by telling you that the way we are doing this, some of it, like education reform, is going to show a result just few years to come. But we have other strategies, like through the direct relief programs, we are able to combat poverty. We have seen that direct relief programs have been there ever since independence, ever since Tanzania has gained independence. And so far, we gave out statistics that there is a number of poor people has reduced ever since 1995 to 2024. You can see it's a great number of people, almost like 20 million people who are below poverty line right now. These people are not there anymore. From 46 million to 26 million, almost like 20 million people have decreased. Then it's a success, because in this world, there is no total success. Poverty can be eradicated, yes, and it has shown success by whatever we are speaking here. Moreover, they came and they asked how long they can wait, because these people have spoken about eradicating poverty through education, saying that we can't wait for a long time. But that just takes us to our second argument that we just gave out, direct relief programs. If these people can't wait for 10 years, then there is a faster solution, direct relief programs. This gives out relief. This gives out a solution right now, in the present. So if they can't wait for the future, then there is already a solution, the present, the direct relief programs, through giving out assistance, aids, and giving out money to these poor people. And so far, it has shown massive success. On to rebuilding our points. As proposition side, first, they came here and said that we did not set out the parameters. Our first speaker came and stated perfectly the parameters as geographical to be the United Republic of Tanzania. But they're here speaking, it's fine if you want to speak about Tanzania as well, we're going to leave with that. Also, we spoke about other parameters that we're going to set because parameters is not only about geographical. We spoke about issues like building infrastructures, direct relief programs, and large-scale education reforms because that's our burden. And we have just given that in the parameters. Now, going on to our arguments. First, we said that through the large-scale education reforms, Tanzania has been able to end poverty. As the United Republic of Tanzania fights against poverty, it has established and enacted the new education policy that aims at giving students training, giving students practical skills that, as we've spoken before, it's going to break the chain of poverty. Imagine a grandparent is poor. The child who is the father is poor. Then the son of the father is also poor. You can see that generation of poverty. But if we try to reform the education system and we give these people, this child practical skills, then it's obvious that as they come to give out another generation of students, another generation of kids, then those kids won't be poor anymore because they're going to inherit the skills. They're going to know the importance of these skills. So it's obvious that they're going to change and they're going to break the circle and the chain of poverty. Moreover, our second argument was the direct relief programs. We spoke about TASAF. TASAF aims at giving aid, giving money, and through cash transfers to these poor people. And so far, it has proven to be a success because most of the people are helped because their needs are immediate. And by that, we can see that instead of poor people going to beg, they're given money which sustains them for now and for the future. And as that can be seen, then we have seen that a lot of people have been helped, have been alleviated, have been relieved from poverty, which in the side of the United Republic of Tanzania is a great success. And our third argument is building infrastructures like houses. Then we spoke about Tulia Trust, which is initiated by Dr. Tulia Ackson with an aim just to help these poor people, giving them shelter. Because as we spoke before, poverty means that they are not able to get their basic needs. They're not able to get food, they're not able to get shelter and clothes and healthcare and education and things of that kind. So this woman, a proud Tanzania, a person who is in the government, came up with a solution, setting up an organization, Tulia Trust, just to facilitate and help these poor people. Hasn't she done enough? What else enough do you want? Yes, your eye? What do you mean? Okay. So these people are saying if it's quantitative or qualitative. I'm hoping if you come here, you explain more so we might be able to answer your POI because it's short and we don't have to, and you don't really understand it. Moreover, as proposition side, we're trying to show that as the United Republic of Tanzania, it has proven to be more successful. Whatsoever ways that they are using, there's even people who have tried to do charity, organizations that have tried to do their best just to help these poor people. And so far, it has helped activities. And what are we seeing? We're seeing that poverty is reduced. We're seeing that poverty is starting to be eradicated. And yet these people are coming here and starting speaking about things which are not here at all. Yes?
Do you think that's enough to...
Yes, it is enough. What else do you want us to do? Because we were expecting this as the opposition side to come and show us that these things have been a failure, but they're here trying to speak about something else.
Honorable educators, fellow opposition side, and worthy of honors, good morning to you all.
Good morning.
I'll first start by saying this. You know what? The floor right now is feeling very ashamed for holding people who speak what they don't understand. Everything has a purpose. One of the adjudicators told us to read the motion before we started the debates, and it also had a purpose. They wanted us to understand it more, just in case we had no enough preparation. So we believe that the United Republic of Tanzania has not done enough to end poverty. Why is it so? One, there is still unemployment. Every now and then, we hear from outside that students and college students who have finished their college and secondary studies do not have employment opportunities. They're the ones who are said to be one among the people who are engaged in the competence-based curriculum, which they said that was effective to eradicate poverty. But how have they eradicated poverty? Unemployment is still there. The other thing is and effective utilization of resources. Tanzania is a very blessed country. We have a lot of resources. We have natural resources and artificial resources. Those all, if were used effectively, I believe that we will be one among the best developed countries in this world. Not only one among, we will be the country with the largest economy in the world. But why? No effective utilization of those resources. They're underutilized or sometimes overutilized. Another thing is poor transport and communication system. As we see every day, the transport and communication system are very poor. Sometimes you might try to call somebody, but in this area, you find that the network, the bars of network is zero. No network at all. There is no network. How are you going to communicate? What if the thing is very important? Maybe you are exporting goods or exporting goods. Then how are you going to communicate with the one who are taking the goods to? What is that now? You're saying that we have done enough to eradicate poverty. Why then there are poor communication systems? Why the transport is so poor? Why is it so? Transport from one area to another. Teachers, okay, fine. Teachers teaching competence-based developed curriculum from their homes to their schools. The transport they use, is it effective? Are you sure they're able to reach there in time? Think about it. The other thing is, most people in Tanzania are still not educated. For example, in Tanzania, there is enrollment of children, free education, but still, there are some parents who do not take their children to school. Why is it so? Because of poor education systems. That is, most of the Tanzanians are still not educated. Some parents, just because of taboos or maybe inculcated societal roles, maybe female children are not allowed to go to school. For that reason, they're not taking them to school. So then why? How are we going to eradicate poverty if only few people are taken to school? What about the rest people who are left there? Another thing is poor health services. This is seen, for example, in many places in Tanzania. The hospitals are found only region-wise or district-wise, most especially in rural areas. This is because the health services are still not properly situated. Why is it so? Maybe because we do lack facilities. This means we're still poor. We have not yet done enough to eradicate poverty in our nation. Then we are still at middle economy. If we had done enough to eradicate poverty in our nation, why then could we still be in the middle economy? We could be in the up economy, we could be the best country in the world. Apart from that there are many increasing corruption cases. And in the increasing corruption cases, most of the time, the TAKUKURU or PCCB does not mostly face the challenges. For example, once when I was at home, there was a corruption practice, but when I tried to call PCCB, that is 113, what I could only hear was the national anthem, and no one was picking up. What is that? Apart from that, poor power supply. This is vivid. Just yesterday, when we were in the debate round 2, suddenly the power went off. How do you say that we have done enough to eradicate poverty? How can we eradicate poverty if our power is not there? Wow. Even the energy is not there. Energy. We need energy to do everything in our daily lives. Now we do not have power. How do we expect our activities to go well? From communication, the transport, and everything. How do we expect them to go well? Then we have greater import than export. Now what is this? We have greater import than export. And you're telling us that we have done enough to eradicate poverty. We import large quantities and export very little quantities. How do you tell us that we have done enough to eradicate poverty? How? Another thing is we have low currency value and low quality of education. So we, as the opposition side, have the following ways to end poverty, since we have been very much creative to think of these ways so that we can help the government side believe our side and come and support us, since our side is more vivid. First, we're going to emphasize research on education matters. This is seen from North Korea, which is a developing country right now. They mostly put their efforts in research. That's why they developed. Apart from that is encouraging investment in science and technology. In our country, most of the students are allowed to drop the science subject, but check the developed countries, science subjects are not dropped. This is then a problem. We have to encourage investment in science and technology for us to end poverty in our nation. Apart from that, we also thought to decrease the rate of import and increase the rate of export. That is, we saw that most of the commodity that is imported to us is kiwi. So we as the government side, we thought of making homemade kiwi. How did we think of that? We can use petroleum gel, melted petroleum gel, and since most of us use charcoal and firewood, you can use the soot from the charcoal and firewood, then you mix. After that, your shoe will be newly as a 100K shoe. Apart from that, we also thought of a project of thermoelectricity. This thermoelectricity is electricity based on touch. We are going to install this in areas where most people pass. As in, we're going to put it under the ground. It's going to be like some sort of a machine. And when I pass, the moment I touch the ground, it generates electricity. Just imagine how many people pass there per day. How much power will be generated more? We'll have a lot more power. And for this, I rest my case.
I'm very happy standing before you to propose the motion that says, this House believes that the United Republic of Tanzania has done enough to end poverty. We, as the proposition side, we keep on standing that the United Republic of Tanzania has done all its efforts in eliminating poverty. And this can be seen through the things that were said by the former speakers, that if we try to check in the matter of education, if we try to check in the matter of direct poverty relief programs, if we try to check in the category of building infrastructures, Tanzania has done enough in eliminating poverty. So, first of all, I'd like to start by identifying the main crush of this debate. First of all, the main crush of this debate is whether Tanzania has done enough or has not done enough, the main crush was to see the success or the failure of Tanzania in eliminating poverty. So us as the proposition side came here and said that we set the parameters. Apart from being geographically the United Republic of Tanzania, we set the parameters that in education, building infrastructures, and in direct poverty relief programs, we have seen that Tanzania has done enough through the proof that we have given. Example, when you check in the matter of building infrastructures, we have seen that the first speaker said that Tanzania has done enough in this because Tanzania has invested much in building infrastructures, which specifically shelter for the people who are living in poverty line. And according to the statistics that were given, that these people who are living below the poverty line are being helped through various institutions that Tanzania has established. Example, the Tulia Trust. This organization is there to build houses for the people who are poor. So by that you can see that Tanzania has done enough in eliminating poverty. Through that you can see that Tanzania has invested each and everything that it could do in eliminating poverty. But also I'd like to follow by rebutting the points that are said by the opposition side. First of all, I would like to tell you that setting parameters in Tanzania doesn't mean that we can't give examples from other nations. So when the speakers came here and gave examples of countries like Kenya, it means though the parameters are in Tanzania, Kenya also can be an example of a proof to show that we have done enough. But also in infrastructures, I've said that the Prime Minister spoke about the Tulia Trust, and she spoke specifically concerning building shelters for these people who are poor and not roads. But also in doing enough to end poverty does not mean that we are no longer poor or we are developed, but we mean that in few sectors that Tanzania has focused on ending poverty, like education, building infrastructures, Tanzania has done enough. So when we say that Tanzania has done enough to end poverty, we don't mean that Tanzania has moved from being a developing country to being a developed country, but we mean that Tanzania, in the few sectors that shows poverty, few sectors that shows, example, lack of education, lack of proper shelter, and people lacking basic needs. Tanzania has done enough by making sure that those sectors are successful. Example, we spoke about education. I keep on repeating. In the matter of education, we have seen that Tanzania also has changed the curriculum. Tanzania has changed the system of education from being theory-oriented to being practical-oriented. So we have seen that Tanzania has done enough in that sector of education to end poverty. But also, you said that there is still unemployment. I would like to rebut that point by saying that you have said that there is still unemployment to show that Tanzania has not done enough, but you say that this is why Tanzania has decided to start vocational training, which will help a person not to wait being employed, but instead employing themselves. So we can say that this point is going directly in our side, that you are saying that there will be unemployment, but we want to prove to you that that's why Tanzania has decided to change the education system from being theory-oriented to being practical-oriented. So, meaning if a person has got skills, maybe I've got skills of tailoring, I've got skills of making furnitures, automatically I will not wait for I to be employed. I will just use the skills that I've gained in class. Example, through going to the vocational training centers, example, VETA, I'll go there and gain the skills. So those skills will help me to employ myself instead of waiting to be employed. But also, you spoke about most people in Tanzania are still not educated. How are those people are not educated while there is public schools? Tanzania has invested much in education by ensuring that there is free education. So it means because there is free education and there is these public schools which can help a student to go there and get education, it means that Tanzania has done enough in ending poverty by ensuring that each student, no matter the economic status they have, no matter how wealthy they are, a student can access education and hence use the skills that this student will learn in the class to end poverty. But also, emphasize research in education matter. This is going directly to our side, whereby we say that Tanzania has invested in education, and that has been seen as a great success to end poverty. So by saying so, I'd like to also speak of encourage investment in science and technology. I would like to go by starting by rebuilding our points, whereby we say that Tanzania has done enough to end poverty, first of all, through direct poverty relief programs. I keep on repeating that Tanzania has shown a great success in ending poverty through these programs because Tanzania has invested much on giving immediate help to those people who are living in below the poverty line. Example, in a village, through the TASAF organization, the people may get immediate help to those needs they are facing. A person maybe is feeling hungry, a person lacks food, a person lacks shelter, a person lacks basic needs. Through the direct poverty relief programs, through a good example, TASAF, these people may be accessed, these people may be reached immediately and hence helping them to get out of the poverty. So it means through that example, you may see Tanzania has done all its efforts it could in eliminating poverty. But also the second point is large-scale education reforms. We are saying that through large-scale education reforms, according to the parameters that we made, through the large-scale education reforms, you can see a great success that Tanzania has done. And we give example now to prove, because you might come here and ask us that now how will we be sure that these large-scale education reforms that were established in 2014 are going to work in the future to those people who are going to be in the future. We have a good example of a country like Finland. Finland established the large-scale education reforms, and you can see it now leading. It is at the top, leading in education system. So you can see through a good example that we have Finland, we can see that also by Tanzania establishing the large-scale education reforms, meaning changing the education system from being theory-oriented to being practical-oriented, you can see that this also is going to work by ensuring the students are getting the knowledge that will be used for them to employ themselves, but also the knowledge that may help them to end poverty. But also the third point, we say that building infrastructures. In building infrastructures, the speakers give a good example, which is Tulia Trust, whereby we spoke specifically in building infrastructures, we spoke concerning building shelter for those people. So by saying so, we may see that Tanzania has done all its efforts to end poverty, and by in these sectors, we see that Tanzania has done enough to end poverty.
Dear adjudicators, worthy propositions,
worthy propositions and worthy opponents. Greetings to you all. Greetings. Before you is the whip of the opponent side, and I'm here to rebut all points stated by the government side, which are only 3 relevantly. Starting with the first one, they're basically about direct poverty relief programs, especially in TASAF. Since you have given us the room to give out other examples of other countries, one of the most popular relief programs that have been given to Tanzania and East Africa at large is USAID, which has been recently cut off, right? The USAID has been giving out constant support to Tanzania's poor communities. But TASAF, do you actually know how they get the funds? They get it from the rich people in Tanzania. They get it from portions of money from the rich people. Do you think that this is dependency on them? Do you not think so? Please read it from TASAF. Another thing is that you have been saying that large-scale educational reforms will promote the development of a nation. But you have not been telling us that, are these large-scale educational reforms efficient? Our second speaker had prominently said here about making our own kiwi. This is evidence in your Form 3 chemistry books. It has actually been written there, steps on how to make your own kiwi. 100K shoe is literally written there. But how many times has it been implemented? Very few times. Another thing I'd like to point out is that you have been giving example of Finland. Wow, thank you for the comparison. But if you not noted that Finland has been developed in the year 1999, very few years after the independence of Tanzania. So I don't think you're trying to compare the educational reforms efficiency to Finland to Tanzania, giving out very relevant examples. So I think your point was very relevant to that, therefore crushed again. You had been talking about VETA, that VETA provides the practical skills such as tailoring and other activities. But you're telling us, but VETA can be done by people who had ended in Form 4 and Form 6. But how many people get so far? How many people? These are people who are born in poor areas. These are people who are not given the opportunity to have higher education, quality education. Tanzania has been focusing on having more quantitative education than it is quality education. Evidently, in the year 2016, shortly after the 2014 vocational training that you've evidently been proving every single time, it has noted that only 20% of Form 6 graduates have actually applied VETA knowledge in their real lives. And from that 20%, only 5% have been able to get entrepreneurial opportunities, meaning leaving the other 15% from the whole Form 6 graduates not really evidently developed in the nation. Okay, I would like to quote the first speaker of the government side, where she talks about building infrastructures. She had clearly said houses and roads. Wow. And then in the two-year trust, they had been saying a lot about houses. So I don't think we can actually, you are very contradicting to what you had been saying in the first statement. Therefore, we had to go along with whatever you are saying. That's why we talked about roads. Going on rebuilding our points. My second speaker and the first speaker have been showing us ways that Tanzania has not done enough to eradicate poverty. We really acknowledge that the government has been providing electricity, have been providing large-scale education reforms over the years and over the years. Very proud we are. But where are we now? Middle economy, low currency value. So many things have not been implemented. We have so much room for improvement. How? Second speaker had clearly stated the following points. Thermal electricity. Funds provided by who? The government. But how do they not reach this? PCCB. I quote this. Please, if adjudicators, you are very open to go to your phone and type 113. You will just hear the national anthem. I did it 5 times continuously, replaying and replaying. How do you think this will happen to the people of Tanzania? How about other things that you've been giving us? How about other dial codes, 112? What will be happening if only PCCB, which is talking about corruption, just gives us the national anthem over and over? We've been talking about the lack of usage of lack of provision of social services, as well as high trade deficits, which is importing too much and exporting very little. This is giving out reliance. This is showing that we are too much reliant on the products of other nations. We have come with a solution that we are going to be doing regional integrations that will enable the sharing the sharing of commodities and the sharing of skilled personnel between countries of East Africa, including Tanzania, which is among them, which are the parameters which you have clearly set for us. I love that. To help us, help Tanzania, help the other developing countries in East Africa to bring more development, eradicate poverty, judges, eradicate poverty. Everything that I've been saying over here. So going back to the motion, we stated that this House believes that the United Republic of Tanzania has done enough to end poverty, inculcating the spirit of career development to each student, which is to each student who is given the education. One of the speakers of the opposition side had been talking about the free education systems, right? But this is according to the Free Basic Policy of 2016 that had been giving fees to students who are in primary school, free education from grade 1 to grade 7, right? But I want to ask a question, pose a burden. How many times have these students, these primary children that have been giving us, how many of them have gone to secondary level? How many of these parents have been given the seminars? How many of these parents have been inculcated the knowledge of developing their children? Very few. And those few who have gotten it, how much do they share? How much do they give the others who are around them? Very few. We encourage investments in science and technology, education emphasis on research, conducting seminars on poverty eradication, and expanding access to vocational training effectively to each single person. That's the burden I pose to the government. If you're saying that you've done enough, please prove that every single person is able to do this. Going on, I would like to reaffirm our stand that us as the opposition side believe that there is room for improvement for the government of Tanzania to eradicate poverty through education and through improving our science and technology. I hope all of this will be put into consideration, and I would never be more proud to oppose the motion that states this House believes that the United Republic of Tanzania has done enough to end poverty. Thank you.
You know, I think the most unfair thing in this world is that the truth always hurts. Now let's go back to the motion, okay? This has been a very hectic debate. The mother, the source of this debate itself is the motion. The motion states, this House believes that the United Republic of Tanzania has done enough to end poverty. Now I repeat, has done enough to end poverty. We are not talking about the future. We are not talking on what could have been if we applied various knowledges. The proposition side is supposed to come up here and tell us that Tanzania has done enough to end poverty. The proposition side is supposed to come up here and tell us that poverty is eradicated throughout Tanzania. You see, the funny thing in this debate is that the first speaker came up here and talked about Tulia Trust, the night poverty relief programs, large-scale education reforms. What's even funnier is that the deputy minister came up here and talked about the same thing, Tulia Trust, large-scale education reforms, direct poverty relief programs. This is proof that Tanzania has not done enough. There is far more than just these three things. These are lives of people we are talking about. There are people out there who are still suffering, still praying, still begging, so that they can get the very little thing we get every morning, afternoon, and evening. We do not need to wait. The proposition side is supposed to come up here and tell us that Tanzania is not poor, that Tanzania has moved from developing to developed, which I think, panel, is impossible. Because till date, Tanzania is developing, and that is the hurtful truth. The POI came here and elaborated, there was a speaker that came up here and elaborated that the infrastructures they were talking about were houses. Well, let's go to what they want, right? Houses. There are houses with walls that are falling down. There are houses with walls that are not painted. There are desks with peeling wood. That is what you call ending poverty. That is what you call being developed. I don't think so. The second speaker came up here and said, although, and I quote, although we cannot see the results right now, but we will in a few years. I would like everybody to clap their hands for her, because she just finalized this debate. She said, although we cannot see the results right now, that means although we cannot see right now that Tanzania has ended poverty. that means that Tanzania has not done enough to end poverty. So, my second speaker came up here and further elaborated even more points than what I said, unlike them who repeated the same three. She elaborated unemployment, inadequate social services, electricity, wires, and everything that she could think of. And was even generous enough to provide ways on how we could end poverty in the future, right? Not on ways that Tanzania has ended poverty, no, because it has not ended poverty. That is the main thing here. There is still poverty. Poverty still exists. It is truth, and we cannot blindfold ourselves from the truth. And I have a question. Where do you get this statistics? This is supposed to be an impromptu debate. So unless you're like a robot that can think of statistics, like how they say 5.6 million people, from 4.6 million people to 2.6 million people had been eradicated poverty in one of the speakers. They said that. But what about the 2.0 that was left, right? What about the 2.0 who had not been eradicated poverty? This is not full eradication of poverty. And that is what they need to prove. They need to prove that Tanzania has fully eradicated poverty. And with that, I would like to rest my case.
I love Nyerere because he educates me. And I'm here in this reply speech to educate you as well. The first speaker came here and told us that our example of Finland and Kenya is invalid. Why? Because we set the parameter as Tanzania. But mind you, setting the parameter as Tanzania doesn't limit you from taking examples in other countries. I'm just educating you. If you go to your next debate, you shouldn't repeat the same mistake. Also, this debate was a battle between success and failure of the tactics used by the United Republic of Tanzania in fighting and defeating poverty. But these people came here, as we were speaking about education, they were speaking about the same thing. So it's like they were speaking about what we were speaking, but just in different words. We were expecting them to come here and speak about the failures. Like, okay, you guys say that it has helped, but we don't see that at all. But these people came here and just spoke about the same things we have been speaking about, just in different words. We should be given this debate because, one, they try to help us to identify our burdens, and we just fulfill them, just for the sake of pleasing you, and we did that accordingly. Moreover, let us try to weigh it down. They came here and said that we are not putting much emphasis in the science subjects, but mind you, the new education policy of 2014 that has been implemented 2024-2025, and it is currently, is trying to focus in the STEM subjects so as we can try to align the students with where the world is going right now. If these people are actually checking the kind of curriculum the 4-month students of this year are using, they're using more of the practical skills, more of the science subjects are putting emphasis, and moreover, the ICT subjects and computer science are put more emphasis, and they're here telling us that we are not actually emphasizing on these subjects, while the new education policy is speaking out for itself. Also, I want to educate you this thing as well. TASAF is funded by Tanzania, not USA. They speak about it being funded by rich people, but the main reason that TASAF has got all its money and all its money to give out to the poor people, it's because of the United Republic of Tanzania. Whenever the parliament is sitting down, trying to draft up the budget, they set up amount of money to give to TASAF for it to provide it to the poor people. And they're here saying that it's given out from the rich people. Blunders. Then I want to educate them as well that VETA doesn't take only Form 4 and Form 6 people, but also it takes people as long as you are a teenager, and moreover, even a university graduate, a person who has a diploma and degree can go to VETA because they just go for skills and not for actually permanent education, but rather skills that can help you in your normal life. They say that education reform has been there for years, but the new education, this new education policy, has this been implemented 2024, 2025, or is it 1 year that is long to you? Lastly, these people, as the opposition side came here, they did not identify the clash, which is the main objective and the main work of the opposition side, of the opposition group, but they just came here and added more points without giving out the clash, while our proposition group came here giving out the clash as if the United Republic of Tanzania has been successful, or has it been failure in trying to eradicate and ending poverty completely. We try to show them that Tanzania has been eradicating poverty in sectors, because as proposition said, we believe that As poverty is a huge and massive stone, it needs to be cut in several pieces. These people are here trying to put pressure on that poverty should be eradicated in all spheres of life. Mind you, time doesn't allow us to eradicate poverty in every single sector, but we have started eradicating poverty in sectors which are more important, like education, like healthcare, and things of that kind, because we think education is more important and health is more important, and these other factors will come after we have eradicated and we have concentrated our efforts in these things. Also, they wanted a quick solution about eradicating poverty, and we gave them. We told them, if you don't want education, the education reform, because you can't wait for 10 years, then try the direct relief programs, because they're here to eradicate poverty and to stop poverty by the present. But yet, these people are here, they don't want to listen to us, and they want us to educate them. How can you educate someone who is stiff-necked and doesn't want to understand? Also, as we have, as the proposition said, have come here trying to show them that the large-scale education reform, if we reform the education system, they said that we should show them the impacts, what is going to happen, the result. We told them that it's going to break the chain of poverty, because if the grandfather was poor, the father was poor, and the son is poor. But if we educate this son, who is the current generation, it's obvious that when he gets his children, they won't be poor as well. And we also spoke about the direct relief program, as we give funds to the poor people, and at the end, it's going to eradicate poverty. As I end up, if you think education is costful, try ignorance. Thank you.
And you're still talking about the 3 points. The Deputy Prime Minister, you're still emphasizing on the 3 points. It creates that atmosphere of repetition. Are you getting? But the moment you say the Prime Minister, the role of the Prime Minister is to come here, introduce the motion, which you did exemplary, perfectly and well. You come, introduce the motion, you tell us you're going to talk about this, you break down the segmentations of what you're going to talk about. That is perfect. But the moment you are repeating on the same point, the other opposition or the people you are debating against will come up and they'll be strong. I realized that you said they were supporting. They were, in a way, the opposition was in a way supporting you. Was in a way supporting you. That was not the case, because when you weigh their argumentations, you talked about education, right? They talked about education. In their talking about education, they were attacking. Are you understanding? They tell us in education, the government has not done this, this, and this, or the government is doing this, this, and this, which is not adequate enough to eradicate poverty. Is that okay? So,